So, let me ask you a very basic question then, on a different topic.
Okay.
Since we can't conclude the shin of Allah regarding disagreeing with you are disagreeing with the Sahih Bukhari and
No,
Muhammad.
I didn't disagree. I said that.
In that case, we are saying
I
Allah has a
didn't
shin.
comment on that matter.
Okay, Allah has a shin, changing his shape and form on last day. People are gonna recognize him in his shin, but we need to read more scholars. Correct? We need to read your scholars. So,
Right.
my next question is, why Surah 115 and 116 is not in the current Quran?
115, 116.
Yeah,
Jumlah.
those.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show it. What are they?
Where's the Alf gone from before? Doesn't matter. Do you have the Quran on you?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You have it in your pocket?
Yeah.
You can just show me in the book.
That one?
No, this one.
This one. Sorry.
Which surah are you looking
What is your mother tongue, sir?
English.
English. Okay.
Which surah are you looking for?
Surah 115 and 116.
150.
The last one, the 114, is only 114.
Yeah,
There's only
because of that,
114
that's
surahs.
why I'm asking
Okay.
why they are not in the Quran.
Do you have the surahs?
Yeah.
I can read in Arabic if you have in Arabic.
Yeah, I've got Arabic. Okay. Arabic and English translation of these two surahs.
Do you have your team with you? You have a security team with you or something like that?
No. It's okay. It's okay. Focus this. It's okay. It's okay. Sorry, it's
See the guy,
okay.
1 second. See the guy. Still. Sorry, as you were saying,
So, this is Surah 115, this is Surah 116.
I don't believe in these.
That's fine. I want you to first read this. Are you a Hanafi Muslim? No.
Can you zoom in for me? So wait, why do you want to read it?
I want you to read it and then I'm going to ask you why they are not in the Quran.
Okay.
Okay, this is the other one.
So because your hand is just shaking, sorry.
I know it's cold.
Yeah. Even I'm shaking. Okay.
So do you recognize any of those surahs?
The surah in that order.
Do you recognize any of those verses?
As this surah, no. This surah, no.
Okay. So you are not Hanafi then, because Hanafis are praying those things. Okay. So these are, according to Islamic tradition, were from the Ubay bin Ka'b's Quran.
Okay.
Ubay bin Ka'b had 116 chapters in his Quran.
Okay.
Those are the last two chapters.
Okay.
So why those chapters are not in today's Quran?
Sorry?
Why those chapters are not in today's Quran?
If it was, do you know how the Quran was preserved?
I don't believe Quran is the preserved.
Okay, but do you know how we believe it was preserved?
I don't know. What do you mean with the preservation?
Do you know how the Quran was written down and how we receive it in the book we receive it today?
Give me your version,
No,
because
but do you know?
every Muslim has different version.
So what is your understanding of it? 'Cause probably
Muhammad revealed he failed
sorry.
to compile the Quran. Muhammad died. Abu Bakr compiled the first Quran by practicing the Buddha. Uthman compiled the second Quran.
Okay.
From Hafsa's Quran, which they ordered all the Quranic materials to be burned from them. Islamic tradition talks about how people disagreed what was in Uthman's Quran, yet Uthman compiled. When he sent the copies to the different cities, there were consonantal differences. Around late 700s, suddenly multiple Qurans start being effective. In 900s, people are talking about 50 different Arabic Qurans to circulate around. In 1924, Al-Azhar put Hafs Quran as a majority for the preservation. In 1985, current Hafs Quran is canonized for the world.
Okay.
Of course, between 900s to 1300s, people were tortured and put in prison because their Qurans were rejected. Okay. Today, there are some Muslims that speakers gonna believe Quran is dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, word by word, exactly what Muhammad passed down to us.
And I agree with that final
You do
statement.
agree with that?
That final statement, I agree with. About Quran being exactly the same. Word by word, dot by dot, letter by letter.
Okay. Have you memorized the Quran?
No,
No.
not all of it. Okay, would you mind the last, just to close it up, like with the last statement, because my friend
Okay.
he wants to go to eat.
Are you coming back next week?
The week after, inshallah.
Okay.
Do you have a
When
piece
you-
of paper and a pen?
I will.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, can you recite Surah 3 verse 146 for me? You wouldn't.
No, I don't.
You wouldn't. Okay. Can you recite Surah Fatiha for me?
Yeah, why? But why?
Go for it.
But for what reason?
I just want to see which one you're reciting.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin.
Okay.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Okay, thank you. So, did you recite it as the king of the day of judgment? Or master of the day of judgment?
So you're asking about the meaning?
Yeah.
Okay.
For
So
the Malik word.
Okay. Before I answer this question, I'm gonna. What is your native language, by the way, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm Turkish.
You're Turkish. Okay. So let's say that you wrote like a book in Turkish, right? And translate to English. Would it be translated word for word, letter by letter? Would everything be exactly the same?
No.
There we go.
I didn't ask you about the English. I said what the word, the
Okay.
Malik you recited,
Yeah.
what does that means?
Malik Yawmiddin. Malik, yes, I believe king or master. I believe those words to be very similar. So king or master would be the same if you're talking about in English.
Okay, there are different words in Arabic and there are different in English.
But you asked me in English. I'm
So
saying in
they
English.
are different in Arabic. So they are different in English
But
as
you
well.
asked me for the.
Yeah. So
They're very in English.
yeah.
I probably disagree on that, but fine.
when you do wudu,
Yes.
okay, do you wash your feet or do you wipe your feet?
That's the same thing.
Washing and wiping are the
It's
same
the
thing.
exact same thing. Because do you use soap and wudu? No. No one uses soap and wudu.
I wasn't asking for the soap with the water. When you do wash or wipe,
What is the difference between wash and wipe?
wash is water is running and then you are washing. Wipe is you are simply just passing through the water
That
or
was the
just like
exact same movement, except you just did that. It's the exact same thing. So I
that's
would
not the case. If it was the exactly same thing, today there wouldn't be difference between Sunnis and
and that's what I'm
Shiites.
saying. I
But
don't believe there's a difference between those two. I believe washing and wiping is the same thing. Washing and wiping is the same thing. Same thing.
okay, so now let me show you some examples.
What I say to you, write all these down. Week after next trial, I'll come back and I'll adjust every single point you have.
I don't want you to come back and address every single point I have.
Whichever
you
point you have.
just made a point that
Okay.
it is.
So take this point,
It is word, but
yeah.
I'll finish
I don't
it.
want to say that I'm running away or anything.
Yeah. So you
Genuinely,
said
yeah.
I need, brother. Can you hold this Quran for me?
I'll hold it, I'll
No,
hold
no,
it.
no, no.
It's all right, don't
Twice my Quran is being stolen, and last week someone
I'm not going
tried
to steal
to.
the Quran because
You-
it's
no,
better.
It's all right, don't worry.
No, because
So-
you need to be clean when you
No,
hold
no,
it. I'm not going to run away. I promise.
It's fine. So,
clean hands.
he's Christian. Jesus cleansed.
But it's fine. No,
So
but like.
here's the Surah 3, verse 146.
Really, people
So it's fine.
drag the Quran.
But no one's going.
Not you, they drag
It's
it off
fine.
you.
It's
No
fine.
one will.
So,
Trust me, no
I
one
want
will.
you
No
to.
one will.
No,
You said
she's made
word
her
by
mind.
word, dot by dot, same. Okay. This is the Quran.
That's not fun.
No, come on.
No,
mate.
that's
you're saying,
not
You're
fun.
saying with the
That's
gloves
not.
on.
That's
You're
not
saying
fun.
with the
Come on,
gloves
no, come on. That's
saying
not
with the
fun.
gloves on.
There's no need to say that.
Yeah, but you've got the
Come on.
gloves on. You're saying he's not clean.
There's not. That's not fun. It's not fun. It's not fun. That's not fun.
So, can you?
Come on. I'm not going to.
Okay, let's focus on the debate. Let's focus on the debate. Let's focus on the debate.
No, not until he walks away. I will not continue until he walks away.
Okay, come back next week and then we discuss.
Okay, perfect. I'll give you my phone number if you want.
No, I
so
don't
you know
want
that
your
I'll
phone.
come.
I don't want your phone number.
Okay.
Before you go, I want you to look at those two words.
Yeah.
This word,
Okay.
okay? And then this word here.
Okay.
When you say dot by dot, letter by letter is exactly the same. You
Read
will see.
this word to me.
You will see
It's the
they are
same.
different.
It's the same word.
How can they be same
you
while
want to read it?
you've got those letters up here?
Read the word that it says there. Read that. Can you read
Katala,
Arabic?
Katala,
And read that one.
Kutala.
It's read this one right here.
This one is fight. This one is were killed.
It's the exact same word.
They are not exactly the same. Okay.
It's to do with
can
pronunciation.
No,
It's
no.
the exact
It's
same
not
word.
the pronunciation. See this line.
Okay, what letter
this
is that?
line.
What letter
this
is
line.
that?
Listen. This line under it changed the meaning. Okay. This is not what I'm saying.
No,
okay.
no, but what letter is that?
Just a moment. In here, you've got the physical evidence. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna make it this much simpler. Recently, there was a book. Where did I put my phone? My shoes. Sorry.
So, but one thing, if we do continue talking, something like that, disrespecting the Quran is something that I don't tolerate personally. And it's not a threat, but I personally will not be speaking if this disrespect continues.
What
Because you
disrespect?
put your foot above it. This gentleman here is making remarks about it.
Sir,
and
that's
you've got-
my
and
bag.
you have-
That's my bag.
and
I
you have-
put my feet
and
there
you
to take
have
off
a
my
Quran
phone.
that has cuts in it inside.
Come on, you can be a grown-up man than that. You're not that finicky, are you? You're not that touchy.
I'm not talking to you though, but I'm not talking to you right now.
You will look after your own Quran.
I'm not talking to you.
Would
But
you
what
not?
I'm saying, that's
what
completely
I'm-
fine.
That's what I'm saying.
That's completely fine. But I will not.
I just
will not remain
feel this comes in the time
I will
where
not
you
remain-
really don't want to talk about
Are
the
you worried
preservation
about-
of the
are you worried about
Quran.
text? Are you
I
worried
will,
about
I will
text?
finish this, but I'm saying I will not tolerate disrespect.
What do you mean
Sir-
not tolerate? What do you mean? Is
It's not a threat.
Is that like a law, like not tolerate?
It's not a
And
threat.
the finger as well.
It's not a threat.
You will not
Where
tolerate.
have your
it.
gloves
It's not a
been
threat.
today?
It's not a
Where
threat.
have your gloves been today?
Why?
Well, you're saying he's not clean, but you are clean.
Yes.
So he's not clean and you are.
What
That's very
accuse am I-
disrespectful.
What?
That's very disrespectful.
What
Isn't it?
bacteria?
I have cleaned. I clean my gloves. I
He's
clean
not
my
clean,
gloves.
But you are.
So
I
I'm,
know
I'm
it is
in a
under
state
bin,
of being
although I
dirty then,
haven't
am I?
It's
I know
amazing
I don't
moment
know
as
yours
we
are
are
big.
talking about this.
So let's
While
forget
we
this.
just
Forget
saw
this.
that
Sorry?
dot by dot, letter by letter, Quran wasn't the
I keep
same.
my gloves in a bag inside my bag. Thank you very
So
much.
they're clean. Huh?
Of course.
100% clean.
110%.
Yeah. What about your sweat?
Why are you getting
What about your
involved?
sweat?
Why are you getting involved?
I'm
Are
telling you. You're trying to
are
say
you
he's
with
clean
her?
and you're not.
Are you with these people?
Sir,
with
this is
Willie.
speaker's corner.
Okay,
This
so
is
you
no.
can-
This is
so
normal.
You can do your thing. I
This
thought
is
you-
this is speaker's
I
corner.
thought-
This
okay.
is very normal.
I thought you were with them. That's why I was talking to you. If you're not with them, I'm not gonna.
Sir,
talk
it
to
is
you.
speaker's corner. It is very normal
have
that
a
people
nice
step
day.
in.
Sorry.
It is speaker's corner.
I assume
It
they were
is
with
very
you. That was my
normal.
mistake. Anyway.
It is normal that people step in and then join the
Thank you very
conversations and
much.
discussions.
Thank you very much.
You will tolerate. No, it's a debate, mate. He's trying to lay down the rules. We will not tolerate.
I will not be in this presence, and I will not debate while that is going on. And I can say that. I can choose to walk
But
away.
you're saying he's not clean, but you are.
Do I know if he's clean?
Does he know if you're clean?
Exactly. What does it mean to be in a state of cleanliness?
Self-righteousness. That's what it means.
No. What does
Self-righteousness.
cleanliness mean?
He just saying, "So I had a voodoo. I am clean like all those."
It doesn't
That-
just
that-
mean. It doesn't.
So let me just come to the point. You saw Surah 3 verse 146.
Yes.
Okay. The way you say dot by dot, letter by letter, same, but you saw letters were in different places. This is the book called Bridges Translations of the 10 Qur'an. Okay. Just get the PDF version of it.
Okay.
He's got footnotes in his book, and then in the footnotes, he's simply telling this verse is different meaning and Arabic. Okay, Arabic is different. In English, it's different. Therefore, he even translates and then tells us in Nafi's Quran, Ibn Kathir's Quran, Abu Amir's Quran, and Yaqub's Quran, this word is read as killed. Versus the one you read is fight. Past tense for the fight. So when you fight, you go home, you are injured. It doesn't mean 100% you are dead. But in other Qurans, it is telling us actually, no, they were dead. So how do you reconcile dot by dot, word by word, letter by letter argument? You just saw two physical Qurans different, and your Muslim scholars, I probably you will disagree.
Did I say? I didn't say every Quran though, because you asked me, is the Quran?
How many
let's dot by
Qurans
dot.
are there?
Do I? Okay, let me give you an example.
Sorry, how many
Imagine,
Qurans are there?
I'm about to explain.
No, just answer that. No, answer that very simple number.
There is in terms of how many copies are there?
No,
how many translations are
I'm
there?
not talking about the
There's-
copies. How many Arabic Qurans today, from Surah 1 to Surah 114,
You want
are
an exact
there?
number? How am I going to give you an exact number?
I've got 4 in my bag. They are different from one another.
So you mean how many? So what is your question? How many of them are written in Arabic in different styles?
Not styles, different with the wording and dotting, all those
Different
kind of
wording,
things.
stuff like that. Okay.
So that's the book, by the way, I was showing you. Check it out. Talks about 30 different Arabic Qurans and then gives you the meaning, how Arabic meaning changed the meaning, how the Arabic word is changing the meaning, and all those kind of things.
So what I will say, again, this is a metaphor, I don't want to take me literally. Let's say me and you have a book, Pride and Prejudice. Is the
No,
punctuation
Sir,
and
I'm
every
not
letter- and
talking
is it
about
going to
that.
be-
Just very simple. You express dot by dot. You believe preservation
don't
of the
listen to my
Quran.
answer then?
I don't want you to give me an example. Like
I'm giving you an answer.
I think I can understand this in very simple points.
what I'm
Okay.
trying to
So
explain to you.
dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, exactly the same. These two Qurans I just showed you. This Quran has one disagrees with this Quran in 1,300 places. This is identified as the Warsh Quran. This is identified as a Hafs Quran.
Okay.
I don't know where you are, but if you are based in Britain, probably that's what you are reciting. This Quran, Hafs Quran, is banned in Algeria. This Quran is banned in Saudi Arabia. So you saw Surah 3 verse 146.
So what
they
I'm
were
gonna-
written differently, meaning differently. I showed you from the scholar. So which one is the perfect preserved dot by dot Quran?
So you're saying that this one is banned in Saudi and that one's banned in Algeria.
Yes, this is
And
Hafs.
that-
Hafs is banned in
Hafs is
Algeria.
banned. And?
Warsh is banned in Saudi
Okay,
Arabia.
so no, hold them up 1 second. I'm going to ask you just one final question, and then I'm going to leave it there. Who wrote down this Quran, this one? No, without looking, who wrote it down? You know, but I'm asking you the question. It says many different things there. It says email, website, Dar al Khair. Okay, who was the actual person who wrote it down? So you're saying the organization wrote it? Is that correct?
I don't know.
Okay, and the other one? Okay, so you don't know. Okay, the other one? I think it was the other page. That page. Huh? Abdullah Yusuf Ali.
This
Who
is translation.
Oh,
I'm not asking you the translation. I'm asking you the Arabic.
Yeah, I'm asking you who wrote. I'm asking
You
you,
got £5 hidden in
Yeah.
that one.
and I'm asking you who wrote it down in Arabic.
Sir,
go.
I show you the publisher who wrote
Okay.
it down. You can just go to Morocco and then buy the Warsh Quran. It's less than £1.
Yep, and
It's
I-
less
and
than
that's-
£1. Oh, people can buy it Amazon as well.
Of course.
But I already showed you PDF of the book where your Muslim scholars are saying, here's the names of the Qurans. This word is different in this Quran, this Quran, this Quran. So those Qurans are already being named and labeled.
And that-
So
yeah.
how do you reconcile when you saw dot by dot, they are different and then it does affect the meaning, and the same on the wudu, when you wash your feet and when you wipe your foot. You've got Quran which talks about wipe your feet, you've got Quran which talks about wash your feet. So therefore we get to see, like, that's another reason, like how Sunnis and Shiites differently practice their prayer stuff. So how do you reconcile when you see wording, dotting, all is different, yet you still say dot by dot, letter by letter preserve?
So, in very simple way, same with this hadith, right? As you know, as I've said before, and it's probably the same with in this case. How does the average Muslim know which one to follow? Is that what you're asking? You're how do I reconcile? How does the average Muslim know what to follow? Yeah, that's your question. Yeah.
No, you said.
No, I'm asking what the question is.
No, that wasn't my
Okay,
question.
what was the question?
So my question was, you stated you believe dot by dot, letter by letter, verse one.
I cannot come up with
Because
another
I didn't ask you about how do you.
I'm
I didn't
familiar
ask
with-
you about the hadiths. I asked you about the
It's
two different
It's the same
Qurans.
answer because I'm familiar with what the concept that you're talking about, and the answer to this general concept is that due to the passage of time, due to different forms of where people have written and obviously stuff like that. I'm talking about hadith here, by the way, not Quran. In a hadith, right?
I'm
That's
asking
why
a question on the Quran.
I'm getting to that, you know, because you gave me a long answer, I'm giving you a long answer back, right? So with the hadith, obviously, that has how That's one way in which meaning may have changed. And therefore, in these situations where meaning has changed and a person has been identified, or a person has been identified as someone who's not trustworthy, that narration or any narration where that person is included or that hadith itself becomes untrustworthy. Now, in the case of this Quran, I don't know, because to me, well, the one that, at least the example you showed me, what you showed me was qatala, and that was exactly the same in both Qurans.
They weren't
Maybe-
the same. Can show them again. So, do you think if someone is liar, are they trustworthy? Would you say that if someone is identified liar and untrustworthy, would you trust them?
So if they have been established as a liar, and
Yeah.
from Islamic perspective they've been established as a liar, from Islamic perspective they've been established as a liar, then yes, they're untrustworthy.
Okay. So, the Quran which you looked at the first, Hafs Quran, which is
Okay.
talking about prophets were fighting, Mr. Hafs is identified as untrustworthy and liar, according
Okay.
to your scholars.
Okay.
Okay. So, I didn't question you on the hadith. All my question was very simple.
Quran.
Dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, word by word preservation of that sentence is simply destroyed, as you saw different Qurans. I'll show them to you once again.
No,
by
I
your
understand
own
your
eyes.
point.
So it's
I
not like
understand your point.
you stated they are the same words. They were not written same. They were written differently. They pronounced differently, and according to your Muslim scholars, the meaning of that is different. So that destroys your word by word, dot by dot, letter by letter preservation of the Quran. So the Quran you are reading, Hafs Quran, the first one we looked, which is banned in Algeria, Hafs Quran, Mr. Hafs is identified as with having very bad memory, and he's not trustworthy. No, sorry, his teacher has a bad memory. Awesome. Hafs is identified as liar and non-trustworthy. Hafs end up in Islamic tradition in 1300s when his Quran become like chosen as under the 7 qira'ats, 10 qira'ats and 14 qira'ats. People who were simply disagreeing with the rest end up in the prisons and they were tortured. Hafs never met with Muhammad, never seen what the Quran of Muhammad was. Hafs is not Ubay bin Ka'b or Ibn Masud who spent time with Muhammad.
Okay.
So I showed you earlier I showed you 2 surahs which you said they are not part of the Quran. They are not part of the Quran, yet in 900s they were part of the Ubay bin Ka'b's Quran, and people saw that and they recited that. And today there are some Muslim how do you call them? Schools, some Muslim schools, Hanafis for example, recite those as a prayer in their daily Muslim life. Yet they are not in the Hafs Quran which you looked at.
Okay.
So
No.
I believe your dot by dot, letter by letter, word by word preservation is failed.
Okay. So so you're not accepting my answer, which is fine. So I'll say just this one thing, the final thing, right?
That was like third final thing.
I know.
nice
I've
conversation.
taken it.
That's fine.
Of
You
course.
come back in 2 weeks, that's fine.
Yes, because next week I'm working, but the week after, inshallah, I'll be here. I've already signed on to do some work. Anyway, last thing that I'll say, religion, Islam is perfect. Finding it is not the easy task, because everyone would do it, everyone would practice it, right? Allah says that if the people did not sin, if this world was perfect, He would wipe it away and start again with people who did sin, so that they could turn to Him and seek forgiveness, right? These people and people on earth, right? No one is perfect, right? But the religion, Islam, is perfect. Now,
So
if
Islam
in a general-
is very
Sorry.
disturbing ideology,
Now, if-
and even the hadith you put together shows actually Allah is fall in love with
So
sin. Therefore, He's able to turn blind
this is my
eye.
last point. By all means, I'll address every one of your points next week, just now because he wants to go eat, and I promised him, so I'm not going to break my word. But as I said, the last point, people are not perfect, but religion is perfect. Yes. Have some people who are untrustworthy taken maybe they've added words or missed out letters or words, or they've added hadith? Of course. Does that mean that all hadith are untrustworthy? No. In the case of, let's say there was a hadith that came from 3 different sources, right? and 3 different narrations, but they in turn they all said the same thing. For example, right, because it does happen, right, as you probably know. Imagine in one of these chains of narration, there was someone who's a known person who's untrustworthy. That means that his the narration that comes after him would not be trustworthy. Does that mean that the words that also come from the other two are untrustworthy? No. So I mean,
So let
did
me,
you get my point?
so let me respond to that.
No, but sorry.
As my conclusion, since
Okay,
you made
okay,
your
fine.
conclusion, let me respond to that as my conclusion.
Okay.
I wasn't talking about hadith. When we look at the hadith, hadith has lots of its problem.
Okay.
My main focus was on the Quran, but you already confirmed, you already stated Islam is perfect, but books are not perfect, people are not perfect. And even the hadith you brought up regarding Allah will destroy people until they sin, it already shows me how Allah is morally corrupted. Islam is very dangerous ideology, not perfect at all. Quran is not perfect, very dangerous ideology, as well as your hadiths, which tells you how you need to live.